All right, so let's talk about simplifying the shapes in our painting. So what I'm gonna show you is a couple of my images I did before, and these are great example for showing you what simplifying shapes, what shortcuts are. So basically, this illustration, you can see that on the thumbnail or a smaller version, you can clearly see that this is some kind of a knight. But if we look closer, you can tell that there are like few parts of this knight that our brain actually recognizes as a knight. So there is a spear, there is a horse, which is actually the shape of the horse is mostly accurate when it comes to anatomy, but I didn't actually pay any attention to the details. So yeah, our brain actually tells us that this is a knight on a horse, and you can see that the hand is actually just marked by a highlight, and face is also hit by light a little bit. So yeah, there are some highlights on the saddle or a leg of the knight. So yeah, there are few parts of this shape that tells us that this is actually a knight on a horse. So as you can see, you don't have to polish your character. It's really enough to just show the really short version of what you want to create, or what you want to show to the people. So another example is illustration that is called Four Witches, and you can see that there are some kind of like four characters, and the title says that these are like four witches, or kind of like old ladies that are really into the magic, dark magic. And what's actually happening here is that those silhouettes are hinged forward with some kind of like a stick or a staff or anything, and I just created like this kind of simple shapes of the silhouettes. Yeah, and it's really enough. I focused more on creating a mood of lighting that hitting from between the clouds, like some rest of the sun hitting this area. And I was just focusing on the brush strokes that was like indicating the highlights from the sun. And silhouettes weren't that important, to be honest. I could go into the details, but most of the scene were actually was actually covered by shadow. So shadow in the shadow you wouldn't get that much detail. So I was just focusing more on the overall value and the colors. So that was yeah, that's why those simplifying shapes, those silhouettes, you have to choose between if there is something in the shadow that doesn't require any attention to the detail, just create a simple shape that indicates that character or thing. So yeah, this is another thing that I was about to talk about. This is a crowd that some army in front of some kind of like gates. So you would spend a lot of time to to paint every single knight, every single person on that image. So I choose to sample some photo from some battle, and just create it as a brush, and just paint over with some highlight areas. Like here you can see that this is very abstract way of showing. You can see that the brush stroke is actually kind of a wavy, but I indicated that this kind of this might be a sword, this might be some kind of like spear, this is definitely a banner or flag. And there's like a couple of other things that that are a hint for a viewer that this is kind of like a battle or something with swords, any kind of weapon that is held up by the soldiers, by the knights. And I didn't want to, or I didn't have to paint every soldier, every knight in this scene. So I was really focused on creating kind of like mashed up brush stroke, or kind of like an abstract way to show the crowd. And you have here is another example on this image where we have two simplified shapes. One of them is head of the dragon. Here you can see from the perspective, from the thumbnail, that head is actually, it kind of like detailed edges, and you can see that there is an eye, glowing eye, and something going here, like maybe kind of like structure of the scales of this dragon. But if you could just zoom in and see how this head is actually defined, you can clearly see that there are some brush strokes. I didn't pay any attention to the detail. I just wanted to have a really nice, interesting shape of the head, and I was aware that some of the brush strokes or marks of the brushes can be as I paint. I didn't want to polish everything, so but from the distance, the head is actually looking really, really good, in my opinion. I mean, the edges of the head and everything, you can judge from the distance that this is a head of the massive dragon. And it's up to you how you polish it, how you create it. I decided to just simplify the shape of the head, and the same goes with this kind of like with this area. You can see that as I mentioned before on this previous image, those spears are a hint for a viewer that this is a battle, this is some kind of a weapon, but this area that is lit by light, by sun, is actually kind of an abstract area. So what is really important to just focus on shapes, not on the object. So you don't have to paint the whole dragon, whole knight or spear or anything like that. You just want to focus on a shape, on edges. So yeah, and this is another example. This is as a whole illustration, it works pretty well. You can see you just don't see any details from the distance, but if you zoom in, you can see how abstract it is. the hand is actually just an indication of the palms. So yeah, our brain reads that, and the same thing goes with the face. I just marked the mustache, the hairs, and the eye. So from the distance, you can see that the face is also covered with the shadow. So this is the same thing with the like it was in the Four Witches. Everything that is in shadow, it has like less detail. So, and the same thing goes here. This is lit area, so it has it can contain lots of details and hard edges. But something in the shadow is more like a smudged area, where it's just an indication for kind of like bigger shapes, bigger spots of the shadow. So yeah, this character is actually almost entirely covered by shadow, but the sun is coming from this side. So I decided to lit the sword, and as you can see, here is a hard edge. But then here we have really soft edge with the brush markings. So yeah, this is a usage in personal work, and this is usage in a client work. So in the foreground, we have a character that is detailed. We have a highlighted area, which is hard brush with the sharp edges. And yeah, and I worked more on this character and on the topic of this illustration, which was the golden vein in the rocks in the mountains. And second character, which is closer to this main character, is still like detailed, but less detailed than the main character. But the focal, our focus right now is on this character. It's just the shape of the human, which is actually painted by one single color, and the body is actually painted by one single color. And we have this kind of a clothing, red clothing. So we have basically three colors that is happening here, and some kind of like highlighted areas. So this shape is actually really simplified, but you can clearly see and tell that this is a human. That this is a third person on this image, some kind of a climber. And yeah, this is how simplifying shapes works. So try to focus on that while creating your pieces, or just analyzing different illustrations. So you can use it in painting a person. You can use it in painting different kind of objects. Like you can paint an animal with that shape, and you just have to kind of like make a decision if this is something you want to simplify, but it's in the background, or it's just covered by shadow, and you decided to just focus on the highlighted area that is lit by sun or something like this. Decision is actually yours